Good afternoon, colleagues. I think we can get started. My name is Pamela Gama, and thank you for everyone for joining us today. I'll be your moderator for today's session. So today we're here to explore the innovative features for the PV GreenCard mobile app, a powerful tool designed to streamline workflows in the PV industry. By the end of this session, you'll be ready to set up the app, utilize its real-time project documentation, the capabilities, and effortlessly issue PV GreenCard reports. Just some housekeeping rules. So before we dive in, just quick note, feel free to ask questions throughout the session, but using the Q&A feature, and we'll address them during the allocated time for Q&A. We'll be recording the session, and then it will be shared after and to other people that have RSVP'd. So I'm delighted to introduce our speaker, Sinethemba Mnguni, our technical specialist. He will be guiding us through the app setup, demonstrate its features, and show us how it simplifies the PV GreenCard report to ensure compliance with the industry standards. Over to you, Sinethemba. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Pamela, and I'd like to thank our attendees for joining us today and greet everyone. Good afternoon. As Pamela said, I'm Sinethemba, and today I will be taking you through this PV GreenCard mobile app launch. The aim is to enforce already the skills that you know, or perhaps take you if you are still new to our app, in order to make sure that you can master it in a couple of minutes. Maybe to just give you an overview of our session for today, I'd like you to just keep in mind that I'll take you in a brief overview of the PV GreenCard program and the purpose of this mobile app as we are going through today. And later on, we'll look at the key features and functionalities that are embedded onto this mobile app. Finally, we'll look at some technical, specifications and compatibility as far as devices are concerned. We'll further just look at the roadmap as well. I think I'll touch on that in the overview of today's presentation. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our launch for today's event. And it was not going to be possible, I believe, without the assistance and collaboration from a variety of stakeholders. Those are our sponsor members and the secretariat, the team that has been working just behind the scenes to gather information, to gather insights to making sure that this project is a success. But without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me take you through the overview of this program. The PV GreenCard, I think we're all familiar with the fact that it's an industry-led initiative that focuses mainly on skills development, quality assurance, but most importantly, the business support that we provide to our SMEs. I think it's very important, ladies and gents, to note that the main program aims to enhance the user capacity and improve the training capabilities, by making sure that the installation standards and compliance are met in order for us to set a benchmark as far as local and international installation best practice are concerned. Some important key highlights to note: the PV GreenCard program was launched by SAPVIA in 2017 with just a collaboration with some of its partners. We then later developed a 5-day solar PV training program, which focuses on making sure that the skills are uplifted from the trainees, This program has been so impactful such that to date we have over 400 active certified PV GreenCard companies nationwide. That could either be just small SMEs or individuals. In today's presentation, I think it's very important to note that today we're doing nothing but launching our very innovative mobile app, which is version 2.0. The main purpose of this app is designed to streamline PV installations and making sure that it's user-friendly and it can be used on the go. Some of the key highlights about the app that one should take note is that it comes with a simplicity, to create compliant PV GreenCard as-built reports without, any extraction or any truncation as compared to our normal web portal. While this app does not necessarily include all the features in the portal, I think it's important to note that it is tailored to enhance capabilities and ensure that it's efficient, as well as making it easy for installers to use it on the go. I think I would just like to take you through the layout of this mobile app. To keep it simple, as I said earlier on, we excluded some of these features on this app, such as the registration process, which can be completed through the web portal instead. In the next slide, I think you'll see where we'll be comparing just the layout on the main page of this mobile app. As you'll notice on the right-hand side, we have the web portal interface, and on the left-hand side, we have the PV GreenCard mobile app, which is installed on mobile devices. I think later on, I'll take you through in terms of the compatibilities of devices that we can be able to install this device on. As I mentioned, the registration so far is still limited to the web portal. However, those are some of the initiatives that we can look forward at enhancing moving forward. From this page, I think what's very important to note is that as much as there are limitations, you can still change or reset your password if needs be, but it's just a simple login page as your normal web portal page. Just maybe an interesting layout is on the home navigation. Just for simplicity, this app comprises of 4 major buttons, as you can see on the bottom there. But most importantly, there is one green highlighted button, which I will later touch on. The main 4 buttons are the cards button, which gives you the accessibility to your PV GreenCard as-built reports, your profile, which enables one to view the company or installer details, the stats, which obviously just gives you the statistics about installations that you've taken so far. I'll later just give it a deep dive just to illustrate each of these sections in more detail. First, we'll start with the cards button or cards section, which is on the bottom left. You can see that as you press that button, you have accessibility to view your drafts, your completed as-built reports, but most importantly, your final reports, which are green. So we use 4 indicators just to illustrate the progress and the status of your as-built reports as they go in various stages. The draft reports are just reports that are just in progress, that have just been started, but have not necessarily been finished. As the report gets finished, it therefore gets sent to a customer for a review, and that is when the installation has been finalized. So that report, the customer will share their feedback, we will review it, and then we will issue out a final reported version to the review state. That's where now we'll look at other related fields, such as the components of the report, whether they are into specification, and making sure that the document or the system is in accordance to the submitted information. The reports get to the green state when they've fully met all the necessary requirements or satisfied either the customer and the admin review stages. And from there, then it can be sent back to client, or it can be saved by the installer or accessed in the future as a final and complete document. I think it's important to just note that in this stage, you have your drafts, and it indicates the quantity of the cards that you'll have there. And that is when you go through these various stages. But I think the most important stage is the final one, where you get the indication that it's ready to be filed for commissioning or used as documents or proof in the future. We have the card section. On the expanded view of the card section, this is where we're looking at the draft reports. Basically, this interface just shows you the progress of each report as it's being drafted, as it's being completed. Please note that we understand the complexity of solar installations, that sometimes installers can do multiple projects at a time. So this gives them the ability to work on those projects as they go along. You will notice that you can expand each section as well in the status category. So even when you go to the completed section, it will show you with the status bar and also how many cards have you completed. On this main slide, I think this is the interesting button would have liked to mention earlier. It's when you're creating a new PV GreenCard as-built report. It's that cross button or green button there, which we use to create a new report. This button is floating just on the screen, just to enable the user to access it easily. And from there, the cards just go in as a draft, and it follows all those 4 steps as I mentioned earlier. On this slide, I think it's important to just look at editing or deleting the as-built report. You have a button there which you can click to edit or delete the PV GreenCard as-built report. You can simply tap on the icon, which is the green button of the card, and then it enables you to either edit, where it goes through various stages, or you can simply delete the card. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's also important to note also that the progress of these installations as they go through, this section, the summary section, allows the user to see how much installation has been done as per report. So you just see the progress as you have completed your report. So this summary also entails just a couple of sections. It's divided into 5 sections. The first one is the system information, which is written as info on top there. And you have the design, a system design. You have comp, which stands for system components, and then com, which refers to commissioning. Docs refers to documentation. So these are nothing but just the essential steps that you need to follow in order to complete the report. Please note that system information speaks to specific projects that you will be working on, and they are particularly for a specific design. I think as we go along, I'm just going to take you through a simulation of how that looks like as per each section. For instance, on the system information section, you can edit the following details: the owner information. So that's the owner of the system, of the PV solar system that's being installed. The installation address, that's the address where the installation is being carried out. the PV GreenCard assessed individual refers to the individual who's utilizing that platform in that particular point in time. So this is the person who will be responsible just to look at or editing this PV GreenCard report moving forward. It's very important to note that there is a save button written as save section. So as you go along each section, you save the progress for each section, and it's indicated on top there how much that section has been completed. You can also refresh your button. We understand that due to latency or other network-related reasons, it may be necessary to refresh your button, especially after saving your information, for that progress bar to update. I think it's also important if you look at the other step, for instance, commissioning. In this section, there are a variety of sections or details that the installer edits, such as safety, commissioning test, grid connection, equipment settings, lighting, surge protection, wind loads, which relates to the roof, warning signage, which relates to labeling of the system. So these are some of the important and necessary features that you input onto your system. And I think just one thing to note in these, as you go along through this program, ladies and gentlemen, is that you are creating your as-built report, and all this information, it's basically you filling a form. So there is no way your form can be filled if either of these sections is gray or not filled. So the progress there is represented by two main important colors, which is green and gray. Green just simply means that the section has been completed and the progress of that section has been saved, whereas gray just simply means that there is no information that has been inserted, or there might be a possibility that the information is not saved on that section. So I think to save these changes, please look at the Save Section button at the bottom, or use the file icon on top to save as well. It's very important to also note some of the important sections in editing the as-built report. There's a documentation section which is very necessary in this particular document. You can edit very few details there, such as the system or site documentation or commissioning and test reports. These could be other reports such as your COC or other test reports that have been done on the system as a result. We have a 5-step walkthrough just before you get through the as-built report, but this is most importantly in filling in some information as far as equipment is concerned. So in this walkthrough, I'm just going to demonstrate and use an example on how to actually do this in actual practice. In the previous slides, I just gave you a walkthrough or an overview of how it looks like, but right now we're just going to go and take a deep dive on how we can actually do it. So the first step is to actually select the modules quantity. So these are selected as a number, so it could be 10, 100, you name it. You just click the select button and you select the quantity of the modules. A progress bar will actually update as you save your changes on your top right to just give you an indication of how much information you are feeding into the section. When a section header is green, it simply means that the section has been successfully completed, as you've seen in the previous section. Step 2, for instance, after adding your quantity of the slides, you'll notice that there's a module selector which enables you to select the type of modules that you'd like to use. This section is very important, and one thing to note is that it's very identical for any other component that you'll be inserting in your system. For instance, if you were to select battery, you would click on that section and select the type of battery that you are looking for. Please note that our system currently has a database where you can insert systems or insert components that are within, our database. However, we do understand that we may not have all the components in the world, hence we do allow in our web portal for information to be submitted. So there is a search filter which enables to make this process easier for one to insert this information, which you can toggle on top there as you click insert on the module. Then you can type as you type the few letters of that specific brand, you will see quite a variety or list of modules with their specification, and then you'll just have to select your according to your nameplate. Just a tip on this section is that if your module, for instance, is a 560, just type 560 there, maybe just say Canadian 560, and all the 560 kind of modules will show in that space. If you just type 560, you will see all the 560s that we have. So that will be irrespective of the manufacturer. But if you type the first few letters of the manufacturer, you will also see the manufacturer, all the list in according to what we have on our system. If we do not have that, please note that you're welcome to send us a specification document or a data sheet, upload that document, and we'll do a review process where we edit that information manually on your PV GreenCard as-built report. Please remember to save as you finish or progress with each section on these documents. With panels, you understand that you can use a variety of types of panels. So you are able to select a variety type of modules. However, once that is done, you'll have to indicate the specifications accordingly as well. And you'll have to click the top, tap the done button as you've selected, and your modules will therefore appear requesting some information in the next step, such as your serial numbers, to name the least. On this slide, I think this is almost the final step. You select the module. As it pops up, you will be asked, because we understand that designers at times they can be creative, they can use integrate different systems onto their designs. So you are allowed to verify whether you want this particular manufacturer to be the only one that is used in your design or in that particular project. So you select yes if that's the case. If not, you will then opt for an option where you will have to select a different manufacturer for the certain quantities that you have in your system. And the last but not least step of this section, I think it's important when you're adding components to note that at times it could be a daunting task, especially the fact that we request that serial numbers are part and parcel of submission in the documentation phase, especially for accountability. But most importantly, we understand that this information could be useful in the future for things such as warranty claims and also and so forth. Hence, we invented this creative feature, which is a scanning button onto our system. It enables barcodes of panels to be scanned, especially if you are dealing with arrays of huge quantities of panels. You can simply just scan the barcodes either from the document or your receipts, or you can do it manually on the panels, which sometimes I understand could be a daunting task. But I believe it will be much more easier if the serial numbers are printed in a particular document and they're just scanned and they automatically get populated into the card. On this section, we're just gonna illustrate the second button on the navigation tab, which is the profile button. This button enables us to display some of the information that is crucial, especially to the end user of this mobile app, which is the installer's name, their number, which is their PV GreenCard number, and their registered company name, and contact details as they've submitted through us, as well as their Department of Employment and Labor registration number. This information is already captured when you are registering on the web portal, so there's no need to refill it whilst you are using the mobile app. There's some crucial other information that we added or features onto this mobile app, such as the statistic feature. We believe this gives the end user the ability to just look at their progress in terms of the amount of systems that they've installed as time progresses. And they can later maybe use this for their reporting and so forth. This section only displays the power installed by, per month in kilowatts peak, and also the number of installations. That's also another feature that we'll be adding as we move forward. We had it on the beta version, but we later removed it. But for the sake of our demonstration, could be one of the features that we're adding when we move it forward. However, the installed power is already there as you navigate or use the mobile app. We have the last button on the navigation pane, which is the settings button. This button simply has two main buttons, which is receiving emails. If you like to get notifications as you update your mobile app system information, you will get the updates directly to your inbox. You can either toggle that on and off, or you can clear out your cache in the second button to simply allow you to update information in real time as you are working in remote areas in some cases. Ladies and gentlemen, in the next slide, I have the link for us to download the mobile app for those who are already installers and may be interested in using the app. For those who already registered with the PV GreenCard on the PV GreenCard portal, you're welcome to simply download it by scanning on this QR code on your screen. Please note that we'll also share this information publicly. Currently, this app is supported on both iOS and Android platforms. So that's your smartphone devices. I believe is from iOS 12 and up to iOS 18. Those versions of iOS do support this platform. With Android, we do support quite a number of a variety of devices, although we cannot name all of them. However, the app is accessible from at least Android 9, if I'm not mistaken, where you can be able to utilize the app. Please note that as you scan on your screen, you will see two links, one for Android and one for iOS devices. I'll just give you, ladies and gentlemen, a minute perhaps to do a scan. And after that, we'll take just a look at the PV GreenCard as-built report, sample report, as to how does it really look like as a final or end product. Because at the end of the day, that is our main document that will be an output after we've completed this particular document. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if ever you still have a request to download the app, please note that we'll share it in our social media platforms after this presentation. We'll also share it together with links for those who may not have the ability to scan at this particular moment, so that you have all the information at the tip of your palm. Please allow me, ladies and gents, to show you the sample of the as-built report Please note that this document is not a document that is filled by filling in the fields here, but all the information as you register, we capture the company name, we capture all your full names, we capture your logo as you register, we capture your address as an installer. So all that information gets filled in here automatically. We also capture information such as your electrical registration numbers and Department of Employment registration numbers. Also note that accompanying COC registration documents can also be submitted and added as an additional document. So the number will show up in this particular document. I think just maybe key important highlights to note on this document, we have the installation configuration. So as you navigate through the app, it's going to ask you as to at what angle is the pitch of the roof, and then you select that angle. The system will also ask you the system type of your solar system, either grid tied or solar, or hybrid solution. Then you will select accordingly. So all that information you see there will be filled as you get asked those questions, as I've shown you in the couple of slides. We may not have touched from all of them, but we believe some of these sections, as we go through this presentation, you will get the bit of understanding as to how they're being filled. As I've shown you, for instance, for PV modules, all your components will be added onto your report from the manufacturer's name, the type, and the power rating, as well as the system's nameplate. Please also note that it's similar to all other components, hence the process of filling in this information becomes the same as you go through all the other components. For instance, you'll have to add first the quantity of the inverter, add the inverter's manufacturer, as well as the model and the inverter type. Please do note that these sections, at times, the progress of these reports can be delayed at times where this information is not known, meaning you submitted a data sheet of an inverter model, but when we look at the data sheet, there is no correspondence. Usually that's some of the things that create some delays in terms of fast-tracking that process. But usually we aim that this process of filling up in the reviews, they don't take longer than 2 days. 2 working days, excluding weekends or public holidays. On the other section, colleagues, I will just show you some of the information that is captured on the PV GreenCard as-built report. Besides besides just the system related information, you also have information such as your specifics, such as your battery spec or cable spec for both DC and AC. So you will have to select the size of your cables, the manufacturer, as well as the cross section of each cable. It's very important to also note that we do understand that for each system to be compliant, it has to be at very least commissioned, and it has to accompany with a particular COC number, whether that's a complementary COC or it's just a COC from scratch. So that COC will have to be attached, the number here, so that it accompanies this system because it's part and parcel of that particular installation. We look at a variety of other information into making sure that compliance is met, such as electrical safety, fire safety, lighting, and voltage surge protection sections. Please note that most of these sections in this particular section are a yes or no type of questions. The yes and no's, they determine whether the system is compliant or not in some cases. In some cases, when the section or rather the question is not applicable to you, you can use a yes or you can use a no. It does not necessarily mean that your system is not compliant. I believe that for every section here, we highlighted what's very important as per each reference, if needs be, and also just some other, for instance, generic questions, such as your generator is within a certain lightning protection system. If that information is applicable to you, you click a yes. If not, you select a no. And as you move along, you will notice that we also have other commissioning tests, like MPPT related questions that we do ask for module level power electronics, for instance. If they're applicable to you, you're going to click yes. If not, you're going to click a no. For NRS compliance, we make sure that this system asks related questions, such as checking whether your connection is within a certain time frame for anti-islanding or for reconnection time. Please note that these questions, you'll have to just select, there are select boxes. You don't have to type there, where you will select less than 60 seconds or more than 60 seconds, less than 2 seconds or more than 2 seconds. You don't really have to type. You just have to pick from an edit box then. Equipment settings, we do have also other grid-related settings, such as NRS 9721 questions, where it will be asking you whether your system has feed-in limits that are set. You'll click a yes if it fits to the grid, and if the inverter has any compliance with NRS, you'll click yes. If it feeds into the grid, you click a yes or a no, depending on your particular case or design. For wind loads, I think it's a very tricky one at times, but it's very important to note that you need to select the information in accordance. We believe this information can be used, especially to make sure that it protects the installer in making sure that they do the assessments prior and so forth. I think also that's just also another lesson from this PV GreenCard initiative, is to make sure that before you do any installation, you don't just rock up on site and it's your first day and you simply do an installation, but it promotes site inspections so that you are familiar with the project and your work is well done. On the warning signage, we do have quite a couple of samples that do show or illustrate the type of signs that we do expect and that we do deem as mandatory for specific sections. I think this is very necessary, especially to make sure that there's clear communication between your system and someone who visits it, because that's the main purpose of the warning sign or labels, is to communicate with someone who has never been within the installation of that system before. In the last but not least slide, we do have other interesting sections that we do capture, ladies and gents, such as to check whether your system is compliant. That's where we ask, this system is made such that it asks you these questions, so that even if there may be mishaps during the installation, but when these questions are asked, you still have the opportunity to work on them before you fill in these sections. The most important other section to note is the photos of the installation. We believe this is a section whereby you get the opportunity to capture the virtual evidence of how your system was looking like. Please note that this section may be limited in terms of the data that we capture. However, there are sections that we deem necessary for us to capture into the PV GreenCard as-built reports, such as showing the overall installation of the inverter, the modules, the AC point of connection, as well as things such as storage or the client's distribution board. And the last section, as I go through the sample of the PV GreenCard reports, is to note that there are various number of serial numbers, for instance, in the information that we were inserting before, that will be visible onto our document. So please do note that it's specific for each and every major component, for each and every the serial numbers, for instance, for panels, it's for each and every panel that is on the roof. Hence, the innovation of scanning the barcodes becomes in handy, because if you have an array, for instance, of 40 panels, as I mentioned, it becomes then a daunting task. So in this particular project, we wanted to simplify the life of the installer. It's similar, a thing that happens to other components such as your inverters and your battery storage units as well. That information gets populated there. And ladies and gentlemen, I think I come to the end of just showing you the sample of the PV GreenCard report. Please do note that we will, as we go now, we will go to the Q&A section. I will just hand over to my colleague, Pamela, who can just give us perhaps the roll call in terms of how we usher that section. But I do believe that we will have questions on the Q&A section. Over to you, Pam.
Thanks, Senator. That was insightful. Yeah, so we're going to transition to the Q&A session. I'll start with the questions under the Q&A section, and then I'll come with the ones on the chat. And then if you do want to verbalize your question, you can also raise your hand, and then we will unmute your mic when it's your time to speak. So we have one other question. This question was based on the serial numbers that can be scanned. So let's say there's 1,400 modules. How is that going to work? Thanks.
Thank you, Pam. I believe I did mention a bit earlier about scanning the modules from paper. So the system is designed to just look out for a barcode. So it does not necessarily matter if the barcode is on paper or the barcode is on the module. So what I would suggest in such cases is to scan the batch number of the modules. But I do believe that also there could be a constraint, because I think this leads to a different conversation. It's very important to note that there is a limit in terms of the information that you can input into the PV GreenCard platform. We are looking in the residential and CNI space, and primarily the limit that we tend to use is 60 kilowatts. So I do believe that 1,400 modules will definitely be above that threshold. However, if it was possible, just making a case for variety, or modules that are many in an array, say 200, for instance, I think it still brings about the same difficulty. You can simply print out the batch of these module serial numbers and scan those barcodes on your phone instead of going all round and round with it. I hope that answers the question, Pam.
Yes, just a thumbs up from Peter if that was answered. Okay, now I see he has his end up.
Oh, the follow-up question, can it be skipped? No, it cannot be skipped. Okay. I believe we've answered that question, Pam.
Yes, it cannot. Thanks. Okay, so when it comes to structural sign-off, does the as-built report require it? It's another question.
structural report. The as-built does not require the structural report. However, you do get asked those questions, for instance, in the wind load section, whereby you'll be asked whether have you done any checks about safety on your system. So it won't be something that's asked directly. However, you'll have to answer questions related to that.
Okay, thanks. Then the next question, can the report be issued without an SSEG approval from the local municipality, or do you need to have an SSEG approval before it can be issued?
No, so the reports can be issued without the SSEG approval from the municipality. But I think it is important to make sure that this report complements the already existing systems as far as compliance and installation best practice are concerned, whether you're looking at it from a perspective of SANS, municipality bylaws, and the likes. So this is to complement and uplift the already existing systems beyond anything else.
Okay, we have another question from Willem. So here, I think he's struggling with the login details from the app and the web portal. It has to be the same, right? I believe. So
yes,
he
the
says,
details are the same.
yes, for the login details. Okay. Let me just allow Justin to speak. Justin?
Maybe before we go to Justin, to also just answer, I see there's another question from Willem as well, to say, my PV GreenCard site password does not work. Please note that you're welcome to send us an email, info@pvgreencard.co.za, to ensure that you file in for that issue.
Yeah, but the login details should be the same for the app and the
Yes.
web portal.
Yes. So the registrations are carried out through the web portal, and the app, you use the same information.
Justin, I'm not sure if you still want to ask your question. Okay, I'm just gonna move on then. The next question is from Seth Abrahams. Who should be using the app? Is it artisans and solar accredited companies? Can the SME development agencies and other BDS stakeholders use it?
The app is dedicated to PV GreenCard assessed individuals. So remember, on the registration process, for you to register on the web portal, you need to have completed the PV GreenCard as-built, the PV GreenCard training, and then you go to the assessment, and then you get the PV GreenCard certificate. So it's the PV GreenCard assessed individuals. However, you can look at the website as to how do you go about registration of becoming a PV GreenCard assessed individual.
And then question from Peter. Good day. Who will be able to access the information on the app?
Can you please repeat that for me then?
Who will be able to access the information on the app?
So the information on the app is only accessible just by our technical admin at this point. And also there is partial information that is accessible by companies. For instance, the companies, they can have an account. However, companies cannot edit an as-built report, for instance. They do not have that access. Customers can only access and utilize information that is pertaining their SEN, PV GreenCard for review, but not necessarily on the app. They don't really need the app for that.
So just to answer Brett's question, you can write your question under the Q&A section. I'm not sure if you can see that on your screen, but just at the top, there's Q&A. That's where you can type your questions. Otherwise, then you can type it here on the chat if you don't have that. Okay, then you can go back to the Q&A. I see you have more questions there. This seems like a follow-up questions from Seth Abrahams. So is the app user available for any training or BDS services? Who are the target users of the app?
I believe we just answered this one, Pam. The target users are mainly the PV GreenCard assessed individual. Yes.
Okay. So when it comes to lightning risk assessment, what allowance is there? This is from Douglas Williams.
When it comes to lightning protection?
Risk assessment, lightning risk assessment, what allowance is there?
I'm not sure what does it mean by allowance. Can you type that question on the Q&A for me? I don't see
Yes,
it.
it's on the Q&A, or maybe we can allow the class to elaborate on the question.
Williams, is his mic on?
Yes, now it's on. You can unmute yourself. Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? I just
Yes,
want to know if once you've done your installation, well, you're doing your assessment, you're obviously going to do a lightning risk assessment. In this app, is there any allowance for that? Is it just a tick box exercise? Have we done it, yes or no?
Yes.
Do we add that report to it?
Yes, there is a yes or no section where I think your question does relate to that of Pieter. The answer is yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and then you can attach your supporting documents that are handed over to client as evidence for that. Because the yes or no questions that we do ask should be supported by those documents as well.
Okay, I'm not sure if that question also covers the one from Peter.
Yes, it does, but maybe to just add on to Peter's question, I would say that he says, do you need lightning risk assessment? The answer is yes, you do. Or the reports, you can just say yes. Onto the PV GreenCard reports, you can just say yes. However, we do expect that as an expert, you would provide an even more comprehensive report to your client or developer, whoever owns the project.
So from my side, I don't see any other questions. If you have any other questions, you can type them on the Q&A.
Yes, I think let's allow maybe two more questions.
Yes, so is there any, have one question from Mohau. Is there any payment required to use the app?
Yes, that's a good question. So to use the app, there's no payment that is required. However, to issue out the as-built reports, there is a payment of 50 rands that is required so that we don't exhaust the resources that are limited, which we have. I think those funds are just there for that sake, is to make sure that the end user does not abuse this infrastructure, because from our end, it requires a lot of effort to ensure that we keep track, we update, and make sure that information is in order. So yes, there is a payment for the S-Built report. However, there's no payment for the app itself.
Okay. I'm not sure if Brett still has a question. I haven't seen your question under the Q&A or either the chat. Do you want to maybe just say verbally or ask? Okay, all right, thanks. So no questions. I don't even see the hands. So any more questions? Okay, I think we've got so just to wrap up and just to share some key takeaways from the webinar. So the PV GreenCard will streamline your workflow. It will also simplify your compliance and allows you to generate professional reports effortlessly. So it's just here to make your job easier as an installer and ensures quality and consistency across all your PV projects. So please don't forget to connect with us for any follow-up questions, or if you need additional resources, you can also reach out to us using the QR code shared. And if you need any support with registering, you can also write an email to us, info@pvgreencard.co.za, and then we'll be able to assist. Over to you, Senator, for any closing remarks. Yes.
Thank you so much, Pam. I think maybe to just, in closing, what I'd like to say is just to emphasize the importance of high quality, installations, particularly in the market segment to which the PV GreenCard is aimed at. So this initiative mainly focuses, we understand that the people that we focuses on mainly do not have the luxury of having very big teams to carry out the works. Hence, this system is designed in such that it becomes a hand-in tool that enables them to do that work, in a very efficient and swift manner. But I think in closing, we do have some hands that are raised. Perhaps maybe we can take that one last hand, Pam, for Papambile.
Yes, Papambile, you can go. I'm not sure if you are speaking, but your mic is still muted. Can you unmute yourself?
Papambile, you can speak with us. Please unmute your mic. Okay. All right, so maybe to just close, Pam, it probably is a hand by mistake there. It's okay. Just in closing, to just finalize the remarks I was making, this program is aimed at that market segment whereby we understand the limited number of resources that installers have, and as far as also, the capability to usher the work in a very efficient manner. I believe that this app will enable that. Do look out for other features that we're going to introduce into this app to ensure that it becomes better as we move along. We do anticipate quite a few innovations that we're going to come up with in the following financial year to ensure that the standard and the benchmark for installation in South Africa, it always alleviates. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to thank you very much for joining us here today, and have a great and wonderful afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.